The biggest plane, an airliner, crashed in Ahmedabad. A London-bound Air India plane carrying 242 people crashed shortly after takeoff in Ahmedabad on Thursday afternoon. Air India confirmed the plane that crashed is flight A1171, which was travelling from Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport in Ahmedabad to London Gatwick. A total of 242 passengers and crew were aboard the flight. Reports suggest that there are no survivors. Eyewitnesses near the crash site reported a loud explosion followed by a thick plume of black smoke. The plane crashed into the residential quarters of the BJ Medical College doctors in Ahmedabad's Meghani Nagar area. The accident happened just weeks after Boeing cut a deal with the US government to avoid taking criminal responsibility for a pair of deadly crashes in 2018 and 19. This point I'm going to come a little later, but let me play out a couple of reactions.
मेरा बनेई मेरा सिस्टर दोनों है अंदर और हमको जाने नहीं दे रहे, सारे रास्ते ब्लॉक कर दिए हमारे इधर से। मेरी भांजी है, हम लंदन वो वहाँ जा रहे थे, भांजी ने फोन किया मम्मी पापा वो फ्लाइट में है, तो हम इधर नरोड़ा से सीधा दौड़ के इधर आए हैं।
लड़का बोला है कि मैं अच्छा दूसरे में से कूदा था ना तो थोड़ा कभी लगा है, ऐसा बोला है मेरे को, और मैं जाऊँ अंदर तो मालूम पड़े ना। हमारी बहन जा रही थी,
1 बजे जा रही थी,
1:10 की फ्लाइट थी और जा रही थी लंदन। तो लंदन जाने से पहले ही क्रैश हो गया।
मेरी शादी था, वो कम्पिटिशन थी, लंदन जा रही थी। हाँ, फिर वापस 1 घंटे में समाचार आ गया को प्लेन क्रैश हो गया है, इसलिए मैं वापस अहमदाबाद से बाहर निकल गया था, तो वापस आए।
Ministry of External Affairs also reacted to the tragedy that took place in Ahmedabad. And the breaking news, police finds one survivor from seat 11A. This is a big breaking. There is a survivor from 11A. He has been taken to the hospital. We'll try to connect with our reporters in Ahmedabad. Right now I'm joined by Group Captain Tahir Jha. He's an aviation expert. Subsequently I'll join by other guests, but this is one breaking news which I'm giving you, that police has found one survivor in the plane, seat 11A. It's a big breaking news that a person has survived. There might be other survivors also, though the accident is so severe. It would be a miracle that we find survivors, and then this is like a miracle story that a survivor has been found. I hope the other people also survive who have been severely injured in this crash. But let's wait for a final word from the hospital. There are many strands of this story. I'm also joined by Mark Martin, CEO, Martin Consulting and Aviation Expert. Thank you both of you. Now, let me straight away first go to Group Captain Jha. Sir, you know, there are a couple of stories here. There is a story of how do we decode the video. That's one part of it, which people have seen. There's also another story of the Dreamliner. And there's also another story of accountability of two players who dominate the air aviation. Boeing is one such player. I don't want to get into the story that has been published by NYT and others, but the fact of the matter is that they almost hushed up a case in context of 2018 and 2019 crashes. We'll take that up later. Sir, but your opening comments on my show On Point, prima facie, when you looked at the visual for the first time, a couple of hours ago, what did you find?
Karthik, first of all, I can't hold my eyes getting slightly wet. I have been trying to do so. I have not been able to. My sincerity with all the families, condolences with all those who have lost their near and dear. But you have given us a great news. First time on your channel, I have heard that at least there is one survivor who have survived this crash. Karthik, to be very frank, on the look of the first look, what is happening on the left side of your window, the touchdown or the crash landing of the aircraft is not very drastic. It is a fairly controlled, descent, maybe loss of power that has caused this particular descent, because this is no place to descend into. And that too, when it is very close to the ground, you can see the nose up of the aircraft. That's the exact position when we keep the aircraft attitude at the time of landing. So that means a few things have been very clear cut here in this particular clip that you are seeing. Mind you, Karthikeyan, in most of the accidents that I have done the investigations, this particular informations of the last few seconds are very difficult to come. The witness who are there are unreliable. Their versions of the aircraft, explosion in air or something, blah, blah, has been all very difficult to sustain that. So this picture, what we are seeing, the video small clip, it tells us a lot. I'll start, if you can give me some time, I'll start with the beginning. Any of the transport aircraft, you have must have also traveled so many times. We first take the aircraft to the shoulder of the runway from where we are going to take off. Just short of entering the runway, we stop it there for a couple of minutes. The second pilot and the pilot, they do all counting of the all instruments that is serviceable. Then we come back onto the runway and line up for the takeoff. Put the aircraft onto the brake. Again do all countings. Raise the throttle. Raise the RPM. And at that RPM, when the engine is bursting, aircraft is vibrating, again check all those crucial engine parameters and some other parameters. When it is normal, then only you release the brake and the aircraft goes for the takeoff roll. Somewhere half of the runway, you get the V1 where you are thinking of unsticking the aircraft and taking off. All those things have happened here in the normal. There is no information from the pilot to say that it was abnormal. Now, aircraft has taken off. It has gone to about 200 meters above the ground level, about 600 feet. That information we have gathered on. That's no place from where the engine should have in loss of thrust. And both engines simultaneously, it bogs me down. In history, there have been both engines losses of the thrust in flight simultaneously, but there are only few to explain, and that too there are many other variables which have come into play. So that is one area that the investigators will have to see why loss of power in both engines. Had even one engine existed, this particular engine is so powerful that pilot could have taken a roundabout and come back for landing in the emergency and landed the aircraft safely. All those things were here. So this is one part of it. Secondly, pilot has given a call for the SOS or Mayday. That means he is unable to continue with the flight. And we are also seeing his inability, that he has not been able to sustain the altitude, even if he is trying to find out some safe place or the plane area where he can land the aeroplane in that landing position. So I'll just finish it here. So these are the few clues which will be crucial to the investigator, which on the first look, it gives me some clue that the pilot was in control of the plane till the last moment. And of course, there will be CVR, cockpit voice recorder, there will be black box that will be telling you a lot of story, but that is subsequently. Right now, this particular case is as it is looking to you. The pilot was in control of the aircraft. Aircraft has not supported, engines have not supported the aircraft. There have been loss of power. Karthik.
Okay, the point you are making, sir, is that it looks that there was loss of power. Let me straight away go to Mr. Martin. Sir, thank you so much for joining me on my show. Your opening comments on the tragedy, sir.
Karthik, thanks so much for having me. And a tragic black day for global aviation. The last time we ever saw a catastrophic air disaster like this is September 11, when an aircraft was used as a terror weapon. I think it's very important. I respect what Group Captain Jha said, but I'd like to state one thing, that we should not speculate. At this stage, it could be anything. It could be power assurance, like what Mr. Jha said. Maybe the crew did not get power. We also could look at how the flaps were fully retracted and the gear down, so lift was not achieved. The possibilities are endless. It could be, it could be anything. And I think it's very important, Karthikeyan, that we respect the dead. The pilot was a super qualified guy, 10,000 hours of experience. So was the co-pilot. The crew's no more. I know we found one survivor, his statements will be very relevant. But the sad part is, out there are people mourning the loss of a loved one. The pilots have perished, and their families are mourning. So please, let's not speculate. If you really wanna express passion over here and venge our anger and outburst, then we should stress that the government starts an investigation immediately into this. The CVR, the DFDR, the CVR, all parts of every element of the investigation should be brought together, and we should find out why this crash occurred. Because I'll tell you one thing, this is the first time ever a 7879 Dreamliner has had such a catastrophic event, and the world is now looking down on India. This investigation will also have an EASA representative. It'll have an FAA representative. It'll have the NTSB, the DGCA, the CAAC. So I think clearly what we need to do is, everyone can have a hypothesis, everyone can have a view. As an investigator myself, unless I see the evidence and establish what happened, everything is hearsay. And the unfortunate part is, I'd really like to urge all those out there to please not speculate. Let's wait for the investigation to come out. Everyone have a respect to their views. I respect your views as an aviation investigator myself.
No, my question to Martin, you see, I respect your view, but there are people who would like to know, what does this picture represent? There are people who would like to know from the experts, what do you make of it? And those are legitimate questions, sir.
I fully appreciate it, but I'm not going to toe the line of speculation. We can talk about a hypothesis.
No, so my question to you, Martin, is what do you make of this video?
Well, I mean, from what we see clearly, this guy was, he couldn't continue flight. He didn't have power assurance. He tried for MCT, maximum continuous thrust. He lost lift. We don't know why. They just didn't give him the takeoff thrust and continuous climb thrust he wanted. We don't know. And it could be anything. There's a hypothesis of bird strike, but bird strike never occurs at 500 feet. Bird strike only occurs especially in Ahmedabad, because when I was in SpiceJet, we had about 8 or 9 bird strike incidents, but those happen at about 1,000, 2,000 feet with vultures and those kind of large birds that damage the whole aircraft. So clearly we don't know, and I'm not going to speculate, and I would really like that we don't speculate. Yes, it's tragic. Yes, it's unfortunate. Everybody needs to get involved. But, if you want me to speculate, that's not what I'm going to do, because, I come from a family of pilots. My dad was a pilot. My granddad was a pilot. My dad was in the Air Force. My dad had a helicopter incident in the Air Force. And, the more we speculate, the more we try and finger point, it does nobody any good, because guess what? Those guys who were there in the cockpit are dead. We don't know what they did, but they did everything to save their life and the life of 250 people on board. And I don't think you and I and anybody here on this forum should stand up and criticize and comment on what they did and what they didn't do. I believe, as an aviation professional, let's wait for that investigation to come out. I know everybody, including you, Karthikeyan.
The pic loop of the survivor, one person has survived. This is the pic loop of the survivor. As we said, one person has survived. This is the photograph that has come. He is the survivor. Now let me straight away go to Air Marshal Sanjeev Kapoor, former Chief Flight Safety, Indian Air Force. Sir, thank you so much for joining me, sir. Your opening comments on the show.
Enough and more has been said on all the channels. I'll just reiterate a few things for the benefit of your viewers. It's one of the most tragic air accidents that the country has seen. And in an era of social media where somebody has recorded what you're playing now, these kind of things were unimaginable a few years ago. The accident investigators used to spend months together, charting out the flight path. And here, the social media, somebody from the rooftop has captured the last moments of the aircraft. Now, it has apparently messed into the ground. The reasons could be many. The options and other factors the crew would have taken. If the crew had time to give a mayday call, it means there was something very serious in the aeroplane which the crew recognized and gave a call to the tower. But as I was seeing in some other channel, they had extrapolated from ADSBs. The aircraft had attained a height of around 425 feet at the end of the runway at the 05 dumbbell, and it had a rate of descent of 475 feet. So if that is correct, some analysis on some channel I was just watching, the crew had precisely 50 seconds from the highest point in the flight path to the impact. So in this 45 to 50 seconds, they have given a call, and I'm sure they would have tried their level best to revive the engine, to get the thrust back, and to get everything going, which the crew are trained for. The crew is experienced, and all these kind of emergencies.
Marshal Kapoor, just let me describe you this photo. You'll be very surprised, sir. The person walking in the video is a survivor. Group Captain Jha and Air Marshal Kapoor, sir, this is the photograph of the survivor. The gentleman walking on the road is the survivor, sir. Seat 11A. You can continue, sir.
So the actions the crew would have taken, what has exactly happened will only come out once the CBR and FDR are analyzed. I think so, not weeks, it will take a couple of months to get to the real story, in my appreciation, because everything would be collaborated before addressing. But the larger point is that we cannot bring back all those who have gone. We cannot undo this accident. But what we can do is draw adequate lessons for our national.
Hey, Marshal Kapoor, you know, we were getting a lot of calls, we were getting a lot of information, and people were asked, you know, the query was, sir, that every aircraft goes through a tech check. You know, what happened that, you know, after a basic tech check of the engines, which happens, you know, you rev the engines, that it completely collapsed. You know, a lot of people want to know that what happened actually.
See, in this particular case of today, the aircraft has flown in from Delhi. So it is not originating a flight afresh. The aircraft has flown in from Delhi. So it is tested. The angle of sabotage and other things which certain channels are speculating also is ruled out, because that aircraft has come, must have just refueled here in Ahmedabad, loaded the passengers and way to London. So, there's hardly any time at this place to do any technical things except routine maintenance. Now, what is special is that the aircraft has yawed somewhat to the left, if you see the videos, and it has got a gentle nose up meshing attitude. So, which typically indicates that there is hardly any speed left in the airplane. There is hardly any speed left, and it's very close to stalling attitude when it is impacting the ground. So, the
viewers, what does, sir? Can you explain it to the viewers? The stalling word you have used.
See, in simple terms, the speed at which the aircraft cannot sustain its straight and level flight. There is everything in the air is subject to the lift that the wings are generating. It is proportional to the speed. So there is a particular speed at which the aircraft is not able to generate lift, in simple terms, and the aircraft just drops from that floor. So in certain aircraft the drop is vicious, in certain aircraft it's gentle. So here, in my appreciation, the attitude and the flight path so indicates that it has very low speeds, and it has just meshed into the ground. The crew has tried its best, because I'm sure they would be, trying to fly out this aeroplane to get the thrust back. But unfortunately, it didn't happen, and the aircraft crashed landed.
Captain Jha, sir, am I audible to you?
Yeah. Look,
sir, you were talking about the engines didn't give the power. Now, my question to you, sir, is very, very different. If you recall the Concorde accident that took place, the subsequently investigation found that there was something on the tarmac which got stuck with the side of the wing, and that is why, the Concorde caught fire and it eventually exploded. Now, the airport at the Ahmedabad has been, cleared. It's become operational. In this case, when you see the aircraft take off, it looks that it had a very smooth lift. But the journey was 7 minutes to 9 minutes. 7 minutes to 9 minutes. Does it mean that immediately after the takeoff or the lift, which we were describing in context of V1, V2, something happened immediately?
Kartikeya, there are few thumb rules that I must tell you. No two aircraft accidents are identical. It's a known fact, except 737, where that MCS had faulted, that software was at fault. There also, although the pattern of accident was similar, it was not identical. There were differences. So take that particular fact that no two aircraft accidents are similar. Now here in this case, when the aircraft has come from Delhi to Gujarat, by and large, all parameters would have been normal. Then only it has taken off from there, had maintained the complete, course of the flight, and then landed up there. The crew would have noticed if there was anything wrong to carry on with the long haul flight. Remember, even the crew who has piloted the aircraft from there would have been, slightly circumspect if something was wrong. That I don't want to speculate what all could have been there. Till now, I have not tried to speculate anything. I'm just telling you what my eyes see here in this aircraft, in this last few seconds. There itself, the first line of doubt comes up there, that why aircraft which was airborne just a few seconds back lost thrust of that respect. This only a current pilot or any pilot having the complete experience on 787 may be able to prompt, but what exactly has happened at this time, even he won't have an insight what has gone wrong for the both engine to dwindle down. So that is one thing to be that only the investigations and subsequent black box or CVR can tell you. That is one thing. Secondly, this particular aircraft, Boeing, when we are talking of, a lot of people come that this has got the bad record. Even that 737 accident, what had happened, there was a problem. There was no doubt. That is the reason the entire fleet was grounded. But 787 was still fine. You have only given the briefing that no accident has happened where the life was lost. Here in this case, obviously the pilot has tried his best to possibly, as it looks in his last few moments, to land the aircraft somewhere. Unfortunately, a building, a hostel has struck the wing or the tail, and that is from where the aircraft has been uncontrolled. At that speed, if something comes like down there, that is where I slightly countered you that it was not unsurvivable accident. You have seen one passenger who has been lucky that he has been walking like that. That means the accident was not so insurvivable. Second fact, he was in seat number 11B. That is somewhere in the front side. Usually what happens...
Near the bathroom, sir. Near the bathroom, this seat.
Yeah. So the 11th seat is in the front. In the Dreamliner, seat number 11 is in the front. Take it that way. Somewhere around the wing or even ahead of the wing. Most of the survival in such aircraft crashes are in the tail sections, where usually that tail gets detached off, and the people who are properly harnessed, some of them, the history shows. Air Marshal is here from the Safety Directorate, so he would know. He will know that much. That portion of the seat is the much safer should aircraft have an impact. That is the area where people will survive. But here there is a individual who was in 11A who has survived the crash. He will tell you a lot of things what he would have noticed, even as a general common person, what would have gone wrong. He will tell you subsequently. A lot of things. Since he was sitting in the aircraft, he should be able to tell you whether the engine quietened. If I was coming back from Tawang to what is it called, Chabwa, way back in 1980. It was Caribou aircraft. One engine went back. Aircraft became quieter. Just short of touching down, another engine backed out. We landed in the absolute quiet aircraft, and the two Sikh gentlemen who are the pilots and co-pilots, he said, Dr. Saab, ठंड रखो, हम लोग land करेंगे. Aircraft becomes totally silent and if the engine goes out. So even this individual may be able to tell the investigation team what exactly happened in those last few seconds or maybe a minute or so. So these are the things what we can see as an investigator. Since I have done the investigation, that is why I'm telling you. The last thing that I will tell you is most, of the access are onto the human factor. I'm a human factor specialist. This human factor could be either in the pilot section or in the engineering technical section, or even in the organizational and the support services system. Any of these human factors can come into play. Here in this case, as it looks, the aircraft was absolutely fine. Before takeoff, he would have counted all the parameters. He has piloted the aircraft from Delhi to here, and then again before takeoff, there would have been that 1-2 minute of the gap before taking off when all these parameters would have been checked. So there is a need to look into look into the system. What caused both engines to either lose thrust that could not sustain even a short time flight, even for landing, looking for a small stretch of the plane surface to land. This is a matter of great concern, but I'm happy to see one individual walking like this. I was hoping that in this particular crash, where the terminal, the last second velocity speed is very less, as eyes can see, it is just just above the stall. Aircraft has not stalled. That is the speed that it is there. So I was hoping that there will be more survivors in this case.
Okay.
But there was very little time for the cabin crew to have
absolutely, Mr. Jha, I'm sorry I'm interrupting you. I just need to introduce another guest, Dr. Sanat Kaul, Chairman, International Foundation for Aviation, Aerospace and Development, also joins me. Thank you, Dr. Kaul, for joining my show. Are you there, sir? Dr. Kaul?
Yes, I'm there.
Thank you
so much. Can you hear
me? Yes, I can hear you, sir. Your opening comments on the tragedy that has unfolded in Ahmedabad, sir.
Well, no, it's extremely tragic that this incident happened. It is extremely tragic that it happened to Air India, which was, had shown good profit very recently in the couple of months, maybe not even a month back, and it was doing well. The reason for the accident is still not very clear. I mean, it's not clear at all because the aircraft took off and then could not climb. So it crashed. It had, there was, the reason the weather was absolutely fine. The bird hit concept, I think there was, firstly, there are two engines. So even if one engine failed, the other engine can manage a little bit, maybe even take off or land back at least. But in this case, it seems that both engines had collapsed, and the fire that we saw was mainly because I think the fuel tanks were absolutely full for a flight to UK, which is taking a longer route now. So all these things combined, we have no inkling of why the accident took place. For example, in 2010, when the Air India accident took place at Mangalore, it was a tabletop airfield, and even there was some difference between the pilot and the co-pilot on the issue of landing, and it crashed. It actually landed beyond. So there was a reason that it went beyond the airstrip, and since it was tabletop, it landed up further and landed up in an open jungle type area where it crashed. So we still don't know why. I hope the black box will be found soon. That will tell us. The Mayday signal was given by the pilot, and that's important because there was something wrong.
Sir, I'm interrupting you. I'm sorry. Home Minister Amit Shah has landed in Gujarat. He's in Ahmedabad. He has gone to the site. Next to him is the Chief Minister of Gujarat. Amit Shah is inspecting the site of the crash. Ahmedabad airport has become operational. Amit Shah is also expected to hold the meeting. So this is the area where the plane crashed. Dr. Kaul, please finish your point. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm saying is that it is still a mystery how this aircraft suddenly, after takeoff, within 5 minutes, crashed. Obviously,
I also have
it
a question
seems
to you,
there can be only
Dr.
two
Kaul.
possibilities.
I have a different question, sir. People are talking about what happened, and this question is also to you, Mr. Jha. Dr. Kaul, my question to you is: we make pilots accountable, we make human error accountable. Who will make the airline makers accountable? These companies accountable?
No. I mean, companies are liable. Liability is of the company. Accountability, in a way, is either of the pilot or of the engine failure or something else. Unless the airline was not giving proper maintenance and was cutting corners in not replacing proper parts on time and things like that. That only an inquiry will show.
There was also a case, sir, in America weeks ago. It has been settled related to 2018 and 19 crash. New York Times has reported it. This is about the Boeing.
No, Boeing is in trouble all the time, and the full congressional committee, which has said that Boeing has not been following safety standards, Boeing company, and they've been cutting corners to make themselves more profitable, and that's why Boeing, which is a 100-year-old company, is going down in reputation, and even the Boeing space thing has been a very unfortunate thing where it landed up, Sunita Williams and others who landed up there and were stuck for 1 year till Elon Musk thing come back. But I'm neither connecting it, but I'm saying that the Boeing company as such has had very, very bad reputation or loss of reputation has taken place. And US government, US FAA is being criticized by the congressional committee. So there are lots of things to be said about Boeing, even about this plane.
Bit of a breaking news, sir. That there is a bit of a breaking news that has come in. Tata Group has decided that they will provide 1 crore to the families of each person who has lost their life. Let me read out. This is an important piece of breaking news that has come in. And the news is, it clearly says, we are deeply anguished by the tragic event involving Air India Flight 171. No words can adequately express the grief we feel at this moment. Our thoughts and prayers are with the families who have lost their loved ones and with those who have been injured. Tata Group will provide 1 crore to the families of each person who has lost their life in this tragedy. We will also cover the medical expenses of those injured and ensure that they will receive all necessary care and support. Additionally, we will provide support in the building which is BG medical hostel, which means that they are going to get some help. We remain steadfast in standing with the affected families and communities during the unimaginable time. And Chandrasekharan, sir, please again complete your point. So 1 crore Tata Group has announced.
Yeah, but coming to exactly what you were saying, under the International Civil Aviation Organization, as well as there's a Montreal Convention of 1999, which gives the kind of a minimum payment to all passengers in case of death due to the airline or because of the airline crash, and it was $100,000 SDRs, which is special drawing rights of the IMF. So the amount comes to about that much, or even perhaps more also. So these are all covered by insurance, but it was nice of the chairman Tata Sons to have announced that. But they are covered by the insurance policy which they have to take under the Montreal Convention 1999, of which India is a signatory. So that part is covered, and that I think is not a major consideration. And each injured will also be adequately compensated, depending upon the amount of injury and their income and so on.
Okay.
So this is an accepted airline, not accepted. This is the law of airlines. This is an accepted agreement. So on the compensation part, I'm not talking much because that is regulated by international convention.
Okay, now let me, sir, read out a story that has been published by New York Times. It says, quote unquote, Boeing 787 Dreamliner planes have experienced operational problems in the past with passengers on board resulting in injuries, but there has been There has not been a fatality recorded in previous incidents involving the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, according to the Aviation Safety Network database. We are aware of the initial reports and are working to gather more information, Boeing said in a statement. I quote New York Times. New York Times says that the crash comes as Boeing is still wending through a year-long legal saga over two deadly crashes of its 737 MAX planes in 18 and 19 that killed 346 people. The company reached a deal with the Justice Department last month which would spare the company from taking criminal responsibility for the crashes. As part of the deal, Boeing would still have to admit to obstructing federal oversight, pay a fine, contribute to a fund for the families of the victim and invest in safety and quality program. The deal, which must still be approved by a judge, was opposed by many of the families of the crash victims. The airline manufacturer other prominent safety issues. In January 2024, a hole blew up on the Boeing 737 MAX 9 during Alaska airline flight, exposing a passenger to forceful winds. Boeing told regulators in August of that year it would redesign its panel to better quote unquote New York Times. In April 2024, the Federal Aviation was investigating claims made by a Boeing engineer that the section of the fuselage of the 787 Dreamliner, the model involved in the crash in India on Thursday, were improperly fastened together and could break apart mid-flights after 1,000 trips. Boeing said at the time it had done extensive testing on the Dreamliner and determined that this is not an immediate safety of flight issue. Kelly Ortberg, the company's chief executive, described 2025 as a turnaround year in a message to employees in April when the company released better than expected quarterly financial results. The company has shares slid as 8% in pre-market trading on Thursday, and I'm quoting New York Times. Mr. Jha, I'm bringing the question to the manufacturers. I'm turning this conversation around. I'll come to you, Dr. Kaul.
Look, Karthik, what you have just now read out may have relevance. I'm not denying it. But what we have seen today happening here at Ahmedabad, was the fuselage which was broken? No, fuselage was not broken. It may be that after thousands of hours of flying this particular aircraft, fuselage may come in the questions. If the fuselage is in the question, this would have been recorded by the designers, by the people who have inspected, by the people who have certified. Anytime such report comes, it is being logged down by the regulators. So that could be seen subsequently. But here, when we are talking of today's crash, has the fuselage broken? No. Fuselage has not broken. Could fuselage, the defect in the fuselage as the gentleman has quoted, could have that resulted in the loss of engines? No, it cannot. So, put the things in its perspective, then we do this. Look, when we do the investigation, accident investigation, aircraft accident investigation, we keep every possible fact on our table. We don't negate any particular fact unless there are reasons to negate it. But we go first by first. What is more probable, that we keep in the front. What could be contributory, we keep the next. And what are the least likelihood, where the evidence suggests that it was not applicable, that we keep on the sides. But we never neglect any piece of evidence which is trying to suggest you something. We keep everything on the table when we do the investigation, aircraft accident investigation.
There's another point on which I want you in, then I'll go to Dr. Kaul. According to the data from the trade group International Air Transport Association, IATA, it says, is it correct, sir? It says the landing phase accounted for more than 53% of all aviation accidents from 2005 to 2023. The takeoff phase was the next most deadly, accounting for 8.5% of all accidents.
Look, the landing is the most demanding phase of an aircraft operation. Landing. Taking off, it's fairly easy. Though many of the people, they take off without considering many other things, like what I was telling you. Even you sitting in any transport aircraft going from place A to place B, you would have seen that before takeoff, aircraft lines up, or even before lining up on the shoulder of the runway, it stays there for some time. And that is the time when all instruments are being checked. And the first officer, the second pilot, co-pilot, what we call it, he keeps on counting everything. There is a chart. with that chart, he lists every instruments before lining up and take off. Even on the lineup, I told you, after you line up, you put the aircraft on the brake, you raise the RPM, and then under those RPMs, maybe 75%, 80% or 85%, then you check those few vital parameters. If that is fine, then only you take off from there. Then only you
Okay,
release.
so a very important information has come which is running on the screen. So the survivor has given a statement. Let me read out, and I want the comment from you and Dr. Call. 30 seconds after the takeoff, there was a loud noise and then the plane crashed. It all happened so quickly. When I got up, there were bodies all around me. I was scared. I stood up and ran. There were pieces of planes all around me. Someone grabbed hold of me and put me in an ambulance and brought me to the hospital. After 30 seconds, he said there was a loud bang.
Yeah, and the plane crashed.
He said after 30 seconds, there was a loud noise and then the plane crashed.
So possibly, don't go much by his words. It could be that when the plane has hit the hostel, there would have been bang heard by everyone, and a second later plane would have crashed. Everything was thrown out. It could be that. Look, the bird will not cause such a bang. We have had so many of the bird strikes in the Indian Air Force. There are various counts of these things. It will not bang. What else can cause to this bang? That is what I am suggesting. That is what I am hinting. That the system engineers of the engines will have to look into it. That what caused both engines to back down or pack up or lose its thrust at that moment simultaneously. That is what is bogging most of us. This has to be looked into in the greater details to ensure any further safety in the aviation, particularly in siege of the aircraft.
Okay, Dr. Call, you wanted to come in, sir?
Yeah, I wanted to come in at that stage because you see, while Dr. Jha is giving his thing of how the crash could take place or did take place, what I'm saying is that Boeing as a company, it's a 100-year-old company, it's a very famous company, yet of late there have been a lot of inquiries about its casualness of its trying to cut corners and save money, and the fact that you have just quoted that it has made a profit is also something where they've been criticized that they wanted to make profit and therefore cut corners and avoided safety measures which would have cost them more. So these are issues. On 787, there has been a whistleblower within the Boeing company who made a statement, then he was invited and he by the way in the production. Now, I'm not talking about this particular crash because Dr. Jha has already described what has happened, what are the possibilities and how this sudden noise came, it was crashed. The only thing I can say is that there is a possibility of a sabotage that should not be ruled out, but that will come out in the inquiry report. But Boeing company has run into a deep problem now because of its lack of, or not even lack of, for its compromising attitude towards proper production of aircraft and therefore trying to increase its profitability.
Play out a visual, sir, very soon. No, I'm going to play out a visual very soon, sir. This is a visual. Let me explain it before I play it out, sir, and then both of you can comment. Sir, this visual, which we are treating right now, and it will be put on air to my viewers, this visual has been taken from the vantage point of the airport. And this visual shows the way aircraft had lifted, aircraft had reached a point, and then it went down. And this visual, which we are going to break on the screen in a minute's time, will actually show the entire journey of the aircraft. On the right hand side, I'm playing out the worst air crashes, the biggest crashes from the engine trouble that have taken place. But I don't think that's right now I would like to focus on. I would say that the real issue is to get down to the truth, to find out why this crash has taken place. And probably this video will answer a lot of questions, because this video is clearly telling us that something immediately happened, completely 3 to 4 seconds after the liftoff. Because the video shows that immediately after the liftoff, the plane started to come down. And it was not able. And this is the visual. This is the visual. Can we just take out the top? Can we just take out the top band? Let's play this visual here. This is the visual. The plane gets up from the vantage point of the airport. It's going up. We'll play the entire visual. 5 seconds, 6 seconds, and then the plane starts to stall. Then the plane starts to stall. And you can see that it gave no time to the pilots. It just did not give any time to the pilots, and the plane went down. Let us play the visual again. Let us play the visual again. These are exclusive visuals. Mr. Jha, did you see this visual? Mr. Jha, can you please unmute yourself, Mr. Jha? Mr. Jha, can you unmute yourself?
I'm sorry, Karthik.
Am I audible to you, sir? Am I audible to you? Were you able to see the visual which I just played on air, sir?
Yes.
Okay, now, please decode this visual for us, sir.
This shows that the aircraft has taken off slightly at a lower below par of the thrust, because usually 787 will take off by about mid of the runway. Now I don't know what is the total length of this runway, but it seems this is an international airport having the specifications of the runway length. It will be about 3.2 kilometers or so. The aircraft has taken off just maybe beyond the halfway of the mark of the runway. Par is slightly below than what otherwise would be expected. Now, after takeoff, now it is a normal takeoff by and large with slightly below par thrust. Look, it is ascending up. It is ascending up. That means the engine was working at this stage, thrust was there. Now, at this moment, now you see the aircraft has stopped going further and has started coming down. This is the time when the pilot will slightly lower the nose from what attitude it was there to gain some forward speed. But he is unable to sustain the flight because engine is not assisting him in maintaining the flight. He is reaching a stall speed. That is when he has decided to go and touch down. So all these are evident from this particular thing. It's a very clueful thing. Another thing, you see the engine. At no time you see any shoot or smoke coming out of the engine. That means engine has not caught fire. That is second thing that you can make it out from here. Third thing, if the passenger has walked out from seat number 11, that is a very clueful thing. The impact was not unsurvivable. You know, these are the few things that we can make out from here. And when we are slightly different point, when you are talking of the human factor, look, Karthik, I have told you earlier also, human factor could be on the pilot's part, on the engineer's part, or on the management part, support services and the management. It could be anywhere. Management role is something like this. That is how we call the cheese model of the aircraft accident, though it is not universally acceptable.
Mr. Jha, you made one point. You made one point. Can you just explain it in detail, sir? You said that Dreamliner generally takes off in the middle of the runway. And you said that it looks like that the takeoff was at a slower side. Can you just explain that to us?
I'll tell you. When you are on the takeoff run, takeoff roll, there is a continuous acceleration that goes on. That means thrust is pushing you more and more. In the initial, you are starting from 0 kilometers per hour to somewhere takeoff speed of about 180 odd kilometers. Now from here onward, you see here. Now the acceleration, how it should have gone through. It looks to me here at this moment that acceleration somehow is missing. But he has already hit V1. V1 says that now you can do the unstick part of it. You can take off from there. He has already hit V1. He is at that motion, so he chooses to take off. But then to climb up further, his engine is not supporting him there. Now he is coming down. He is helpless. This is the time when just before this, somewhere when he has started coming down. His engine would have told his parameters in the cockpit would have told him something that you can't sustain this flight. We are coming down. The VSI would have shown him vertical climb indicator that would have shown him that I'm coming down. Engine parameters should have shown something that I'm winding down. That is the time he would have given a call SOS, Mayday, that I'm unable to sustain flight.
Okay, okay, is Dr. Sanat Kaul with me? Dr. Sanat Kaul, am I audible to you, sir? I think my voice is not reaching. Yes, Mr. Jha, please complete your point. I think there's a technical issue with his line.
If you bring that, okay, next time when you show the same picture, I'll tell you what exactly happens. When we are taking off, that acceleration of the engine keeps you pushing up. That is what I find is missing somewhere here itself. That means immediately after takeoff or just before takeoff, engine has started playing something there. I'll show you. When you give the next run, now this is all fine here. Acceleration is normal. Acceleration is absolutely normal. It is okay at this point. It is okay at this point. Now here after I would have expected it to fasten it further, but it is slightly sluggish here. Now, if you see it now, the ascent rate is ceased. Normally, when we take off, that is the ascent rate. Within a few seconds, you are at 1,000 feet. That is not there here in this case. It has flown so many seconds, but it has not reached there. Aircraft is just about, say, 100 or 120 odd meters above the ground level. So, these are the few things which is telling you that engine is below par at this juncture itself. It has not given away at 600 feet or.
You are saying that basically you are saying that the engine did not provide the relevant thrust, but yes. You also told me 10 minutes ago you said that the thrust and the power, the torque, whatever the word is used in the aviation is checked before the takeoff.
Yes. See what happens when you put the throttle up. Aircraft is under the brake. It will not move. You must have heard. We raise the RPM. We raise the RPM at the top of the RPM, not 100%, maybe around 80% or so. That is the time when you check all the parameters. Thrust, they are not direct. Thrust will be, you can see the thrust only when the aircraft is running. But without the aircraft running, there are the corollary instruments in the cockpit which will tell you that thrusts are there. It is normal. Then only you release the brake. So that would have been normal in this case also, and especially when this aircraft is going for international flight. For next 9 hours, it will be airborne. So no one will take any chance at that time. So everything would have been normal. I can see the aircraft normal till that time. Till that time before.
Absolutely, and suddenly you find that there is no power.
Yeah. This is the time when you see the aircraft ascent is not there.
Yes.
I can't see the aircraft climbing at the way.
Yes. And now it starts going down.
Yeah.
It just starts to go down. If you look at it.
This is the time pilot has given a call, SOS.
Mayday. It just starts to go down. There is no time to react.
There's no time.
This is a clear picture. I mean to say it's completely clear. I mean to say the pilot just did not have the time to react. And look.
He can't do anything. He just can't do anything.
And the entire plane turned into an inferno, sir.
This is the point I was trying to tell you, that investigator, the system engineer of the engine will have to look at it. That what is that single thing or cluster of events in the checking of the engine before takeoff or at the time of making it serviceable that can cause both engine to lose thrust simultaneously. This is something what will be bogging.
Does it look like a case of bird hit, sir?
No, it is not. Both engines, look, these are the massive engines. A small pigeon will go through it without doing any damage. A small pigeon, a crow can make the fighter aircraft go down. But in this massive engine, those pigeons will just pass through. It may not cause any damage. It may not cause anything. And even if one engine goes out, there are the parameters to tell you that yes, my left engine or my right engine is going on. So what you do, you bring that engine back and go 100% on the other engine. Take the emergency action of coming back for emergency landing on one engine. Every pilot have been doing this under the simulation in their simulators n number of times of bringing the aircraft back on one engine and making a normal landing. That's a normal thing that we do.
And sir, the other thing you are saying that it's not a case of bird hit. You are saying that clearly the engine stalled. What causes the stalling of engine?
No, engine doesn't stall. Aircraft stalls. When your speed washes out to make the aircraft remain afloat, that is the time of stall of the aircraft. For aircraft to remain airborne, for it to get lift, there are certain amount of the forward speed which is mandatory. So we call it a stall speed. When the aircraft comes below that speed, then it is the stall speed. Like, we fly a training aircraft, Kiran, Deepak, or Hawk aircraft. We knowingly, wash out the velocity to make the aircraft stall. We do it deliberately. We make the aircraft stall. We make the aircraft to go into the spin, and then this is normal training that every pilot has it. In these aircraft, afford to go on the stall. You just can't afford. So engine has to be that much to keep the aircraft going. And when it starts stalling or speed off there, the normal, the dynamics of the aerodynamic of the aircraft is there. That is the basic thing. So here in this case, obviously, he has not had the full engine even at the time of unstick. Takeoff roll has been normal, but somewhere around as the aircraft when it has taken off, then they can't see the normal rate of climb that usually happens. Usually aircraft goes something like within 1,000 feet. Time. And you just level out or something, do it at 1.2 kilometers or so.
Play out that bite. This is a rolling coverage.
On a serious incident that involved an Air India aircraft a short while ago. But first and most importantly, I would like to express deep sorrow about this event. This is a difficult day for all of us at Air India, and our efforts now are focused entirely on the needs of our passengers, crew members, their families, and loved ones. There are many questions, and at this stage, I will not be able to answer all of them. But I do want to share the information we have at this time. Air India flight AI 171 aircraft travelling from Ahmedabad to London Gatwick has been involved in an accident after takeoff. Flight AI 171 was carrying 230 passengers and 12 crew members on board. Of the passengers, 169 are Indian nationals, 53 are British nationals, there are 7 Portuguese nationals, and 1 Canadian national.
मेरा सिस्टर दोनों है अंदर और हमको जाने नहीं दे रहे, सारे रास्ते ब्लॉक कर दिए हमारे इधर से। मेरी भांजी है, हम लंदन वो वहाँ जा रहे थे, भांजी ने फोन किया मम्मी पापा उस फ्लाइट में है, तो हम इधर नरोड़ा से सीधा दौड़ के इधर आए हैं।
लड़का बोला है कि मैं अच्छा दूसरे माँ से कूदा था ना, तो थोड़ा कभी लगा है, ऐसा बोला है मेरे को, और मैं जाऊँ अंदर तो मालूम पड़े ना। हमारी बहन जा रही थी,
1 बजे जा रही थी,
1:10 की फ्लाइट थी, और जा रही थी लंदन, तो लंदन जाने से पहले ही क्रैश हो गया प्लेन।
मेरी शादी था, वो कम्बिशर थी, लंदन जा रही थी।
हाँ फिर
वापस एक घंटे में समाचार आ गया प्लेन क्रैश हो गया है, इसलिए मैं वापस अहमदाबाद से बाहर निकल गया था, तो वापस आए।